this video, I will walk you through the Vasion Automate platform. First, we will walk through how a Vasion Automate admin can create a form and workflow for a client to use when enrolling in the Vasion retirement plan. Next, I'll show you what the process looks like for the client enrolling and filling out the form. First, let's go to the admin section. This is where we have created our users and groups that will be interacting with the platform. In our example, the financial services and financial managers groups will be required to review and sign the enrollment forms. In the storage setup folder, we have our parent folders created for approved and rejected documents. We also have a custom folder view that will allow the administrator signed in to see different information if they're looking for a client enrollment form. They'll be able to see the member ID, last name, date of birth, email, and phone number of the client. Let me show you what that looks like in storage. If we go to approved enrollment, notice we have our member ID, last name, date of birth, email, and phone number values displayed in different columns here. Now let's take a look at the form that the client is going to be filling in. First, you need to create an object that will organize all of your fields that you need for this business process. Under enrollment, we have our member ID, first name, last name, date of birth, address, all of the information that the client will need to fill in on the form. We have different field types like text box, date, drop down, and even radial button to select an answer to a question. Now let's take a look at the form we have. The client enrollment form has already been built by dragging and dropping the object fields on the left to the form in the middle of the page. If we look at the preview, we can see what the published form looks like, and notice we have other settings enabled for the form, like running a lookup and attaching files. I'll explain more about the run lookup feature later on in the video. Next, let's look at templates that our workflow will use throughout the process. We have both email and document templates. The email templates are used when an enrollment form is approved, rejected, or submitted. When the client submits a form, they'll receive this email that has their first name filled in along with their member ID for reference, confirming that Vasion has received the document. We also have document templates. These are more formal looking PDFs that are used to map the data that we receive on the web form to the PDF. For example, the first name and last name will be mapped at the top here on these fields. Why is this needed? Well, in some cases, it's easier or more convenient for the user to fill in a web form. For instance, if they're on their phone, the web form fits to the screen size, making it easier to fill in the data. Also, a huge benefit is they fill in each piece of information only one time. So for example, if the first and last name are required on multiple pages of a more formal document, they fill it in one time on the web form, and then we can map it using automation to the template or the PDF document. Now let's look at signature. We have a signature template that will be sent out to the client whenever their enrollment form is approved. That's going to be the wire transfer template. This will require the account number, routing number, and signature of the client. Lastly, let's take a look at the workflow we've created. We can see at the top we've defined all of our folders for storing the form after it's been approved or rejected. We've selected the initiation type to be submission of the client enrollment form, and we've also associated the enrollment object to the workflow. Our first step in the workflow is for someone in the financial services group to review the document. Next, it would be sent to someone in the financial managers department for approval and signature. Let me quickly highlight how a manager approval will send the wire transfer template that we just saw for signature. Under button information, we've created a couple of custom steps or custom buttons that the manager will use. First, let's start with the approved button. That will set or require the beneficiary name, relationship, and percentage to be filled in. At the bottom, notice we have another action that will run when they click that button called Manager Approved. Taking a look at that step, we can see that this will send an email to a field, which is our member's email, and that email template is that their enrollment form has been approved. We have another step that will be taken when this is complete, called the wire transfer signature. Taking a look at this step, it sends the wire transfer document template to the client. This will also complete the workflow. And finally, I'll show you the workspace. This is where the financial services and financial managers will interact with the documents to approve or reject them. Now, let's take a look at the client experience when they fill out the form and the emails that they'll receive. Looking at the published client enrollment form, we have our Run Lookup button at the bottom. This lookup button could be used by the client to pull their personal information if maybe they filled out a form for Vasion before. If their information exists in the database, they can retrieve that by using, in this example, their social security number. By typing that in and clicking Run Lookup, we can see that it populates with their first name, last name, address, email, phone number, and zip code. Now the client can finish filling out the form with their beneficiary's name and information. They sign and submit the form, select I agree to the consumer disclosure. And now, based on what we saw with our workflow, they should get a submission email sent to their inbox. Taking a look in the inbox, we can see Vasion enrollment submission, verifying that Vasion has received Abby's form. Now we'll go through the Financial Services Department approval. When they sign into the Vasion Automate console, they'll go to their workspace. At the top, they'll see the enrollment PDF submitted by the client. Selecting it, they can either approve or reject the form. And then next, it will be handed off to the manager department. Someone in the financial managers department will sign into their console, go to their workspace, see the enrollment form at the top, and they have different options. They can reassign the form, reject it, or approve it. By approving the document, they then need to verify that the beneficiary name, relationship, and percent of benefit is filled in and accurate. Select Submit. Now the client would receive an email stating that their enrollment form has been approved, and in addition to that, they would receive the wire transfer form to fill in. We can see we've received the Vasion enrollment approval email with the client's first name and their member ID. We also have from Vasion Financial our wire transfer document that needs to be reviewed and signed. Clicking Review Document opens up a new tab. The client would then review the form, fill in any information required, sign at the bottom. Here they can draw or type, click Sign, and then complete their wire transfer form. And that completes the retirement enrollment workflow. The wire transfer form and the client enrollment form would now be stored in the approved enrollment Vasion storage folder.